Previously, on Epic 7 Abridged, Ras discovered that the Nahinqui Merchant Guild have been kidnapping and trafficking Suin, a furry race, to the Church of Ilrios, who in turn have been using alchemy in order to turn the Suin into dark magic stones. Now, Ras and friends are heading towards Sarayu, where the Church of Ilrios is based, in order to destroy religion. So Ras and co are traveling through a marsh when they coincidentally run into Cartuja, the guy from last episode who speaks for the Suin. He's looking for the Suin child who was abducted. Since their goals align, they decide to work together. They then run into a Suin named Gulpim, who panics, thinking Ras is here to kidnap him. Cartuja assures him that Ras is not a kidnapper, and Arky helpfully adds that Ras doesn't even look like a kidnapper, with his appearance being more akin to a nasty person. Gulpim confirms that for the past few months, Suin have been disappearing en masse, and is currently on the run because his business partner recently disappeared. Arky suspects that this partner just ran away of his own free will, ditching Gulpim, but Ras promises that's the heir of the Covenant, hero of legend, destined to save the universe. He will protect Gulpim and rescue all the missing Suin. So Gulpim takes the party to the last known location of his missing business partner. Once arriving at the location, Mercedes is able to sense traces of dark magic, so she follows the magical trail. As Mercedes follows it, she notices it's getting more and more intense. Eventually, the trail becomes hard to follow, but she notes the dark magic concentration is way higher here than it was in Rengar when S10 was summoned, leading to her speculating that another acolyte has been summoned. Mercedes then begins to hear an ominous voice calling out to her. Mercedes, child of the Archdemon, daughter of Ilrios, even if you forget, no matter how far you run, you cannot escape, for you are. And then she collapses. The party panics. Fortunately, Cartuja's friend, Jecht, lives nearby, so they take Mercedes to his house to recover. However, upon arriving, Jecht attacks Gulpim, calling him a crook. Ras is forced to intervene, and for once, type advantage is a thing, and Ras is able to defeat Jecht, calming him down. Jecht then agrees to let Mercedes rest at his house until she recovers. Ras speculates that as a wraith, Mercedes was more susceptible to dark magic residue. Jecht agrees, pointing out how the monsters in the Mantis Fungi Woods have been more aggressive than normal, believing this area to be the source of the dark magic. Ras, Cartuja, and Arky go to investigate, while Jecht and Gulpim stay behind to look after Mercedes. Jecht and Gulpim start talking, and Jecht reveals that he thinks Mercedes is a homunculus, which, unlike other wraiths, weren't created as a side effect of the Archdemon or an acolyte's power, but were instead deliberately created with immense magical power and a complete disregard for their own life, in order to be used as disposable weapons. Gulpim stands up for Mercedes, saying she's a good person, but Jecht tells him, you should never trust a wraith, for they are creatures born of evil, and further states he would prefer if Mercedes never woke up. We then cut to a flashback scene where we see Mercedes' experiences at Ezra Castle, and they're not very cash money. The soldiers don't like that a wraith is free to roam the sanctuary, a place meant to represent the purity and power of Daichi, and they're not exactly private about their disdain either. Flashback Mercedes starts contemplating about how no matter how hard she tries, people will never overlook the fact that she's a wraith. So perhaps, maybe, just maybe, she should just join the Archdemon. However, Mercedes' consciousness realizes, no, that's not true, because Ras trusts and believes in her, and therefore she is not alone. Meanwhile, Arky, Ras, and Cartuja are traveling to the Mantis Fungi Woods. On the way there, Ras is appalled that all the statues of the goddess on the path there have been destroyed. Swearing to kill these heretics for desecrating the statues of his godmommy, Ras trudges onward. As they continue, Arky notices an ominous energy coming from the woods, and Ras picks up on it as well, saying that it must be the Archdemon. Cartuja's furry senses start tingling, and he runs off noticing a Suin being attacked. The Suin being attacked is named Garish, and it's revealed that he's Gulpim's missing business partner. He also reveals that he ran away in order to avoid paying Gulpim, but now it looks like he's going to get turned into a dark magic stone. He then faints, and the Church of Ilrios acts, and Butchercore Inquisitor, living up to his name, take him away. Ras, Arky, and Cartuja follow them to their secret hideout, and using his magical whistle, Cartuja summons all nearby Suin who are willing to fight to him. Mercedes then awakens and runs off to help Ras.
Jecht chases after her, trying to convince her to go back and rest, but Mercedes tells him that she needs to repay the trust Ras has placed in her, because now that she has someone in her corner, she's never letting them go. Jecht finally agrees, and having heard Cartuja's magic whistle, leads her to where the main party is. Oh, and Gulpum comes along too. Mercedes, Jecht, and Gulpum finally rendezvous with Ras's party, and Mercedes states that she'll handle the fodder. So Ras, you go on ahead and deal with the boss. After fighting their way through the church, Ras and co. finally run into the head priest, a wanker named Mahur. Ras condemns his actions against the furry nation, and the head priest, similar to Vildred, calls Ras a hypocrite, declaring he's merely pretending to be righteous, pointing out that it's Daichi that is bringing death and destruction to the world by the constant timeline resets, and the head priest Mahur will summon the acolytes to this world and side with the archdemon, because the archdemon is destined to win, so siding with it is their only chance at survival. He then summons his newest creation, a wraith named Banshee Queen Rubelite, and with horror, Cartuja recognizes the wraith's face as the girl he was looking for at the start of the chapter. Realizing they can no longer do anything for her, Ras and Cartuja put her to sleep. Permanently. They then detain the rest of the Church of Ilrios members and confiscate the dark magic stones. As Ras escorts Mahur into a makeshift cage, Mahur spots Mercedes and freaks out, demanding why a wraith born from the archdemon's might is working with the heir of the Covenant. However, Jecht and Cartuja come to her defense, saying she chose to walk the path of truth and justice, despite her origins, adding more people to the Mercedes protection squad. They then return to Cartuja's village in order to celebrate the saving of the Seween people, and Cartuja gives Ras his magical whistle as a symbol of their friendship, promising that one day he will repay Ras for all his help. With most of the work done, Ras contacts Ezra Castle to handle the cleaning up of the Church of Ilrios. So a little while later, the various leaders of Ezra meet up, and Charles reveals that an investigation led by the Order of the Sword at the Church of Ilrios headquarters has revealed that the cult were in fact responsible in summoning another acolyte, with the new one being called Nilgal. The leader of the Rose Apostle, Katinka, believes that the forces of the Archdemon may go on the offensive to reclaim the Archdemon's might before Ras can destroy them. Crozet, the leader of the Order of the Shield, is tasked with defending the sanctum in the Tagahel ruins, and Iseria, second in command to the Order of the Sword, has been tasked with escorting Ras to the sanctum in Dun Blaria, her hometown, a place she has not returned to since the Archdemon War. And that's all for this week's episode of Epic 7 Abridged. Stay tuned as next time we'll be covering the origins of the Episode 1 best character, Iseria.